Welcome to another edition of Smalltalk for you. This morning I wanted to take a look at processes in Smalltalk and a little bit about how they're controlled. Now the interesting thing is, even though I'm using Pharo here, this code will work in Pharo or Squeak, or for that matter, Object Studio or VisualWorks, probably in other Smalltalks as well. I'm just not as familiar with them. What I'm going to do is take a block and create it by sending in kind of an infinite loop process, true while true, so it'll be true forever. Execute the code in this inner block here. So it'll write to the transcript, delay for 2 seconds, and do it again. So not a useful process, but the idea is to just have something that'll keep running so we can play with it. And then I'm going to fork it, and you can send various priorities. Now to get an idea of what's going on here, user background priority, what I'm going to do is go to the browser, and I'm going to look for a class. I'm going to find the class processor scheduler. And you'll find over here under priority names, you've got a bunch of them. You've got high I/O priority, system background priority, user background priority, and so on. And if I were to take a look at these, I'll just go ahead and inspect one of these. You notice they're all class variables. You can find they've got values. So here I've got a range of 0 to 100 for process. It's actually 1 to 100. 0 makes no sense. So 1 to 100, where 1 is the lowest and high is don't do anything else. So that's how processes are set up in Smalltalk. And it's kind of a cooperative multitasking model. It's not threaded, so you don't have something where they're being swapped in and out. You have a set of processes that'll run at their given priority level, and higher priority ones will take initiative and run before lower priority ones, and the ones that are all the same priority, they kind of time slice amongst themselves as they are suspended, not suspended. But it's kind of like Windows 3.x style multitasking in that sense, but it's kind of nice because you can control it completely. So with that in mind, let's push that aside, and we'll just go ahead and create this process by forking it off. So we'll do it on this. Now we've got a process running. Now let's go ahead and highlight this thing. I've saved the process in a variable called proc, and I can go ahead and take a look at it. So you see the priority, the suspended context, and I can play around with this. If I go ahead and move that aside, I can go ahead and ask for the priority. So let's go ahead and do a printed on that. And we'll find there its priority is 30. And then we could reset it. Let's say I want to set it to 50. So instead of a named one, I can just hand it the number. So let's go ahead and do that. Now if I come in here, notice the priority changed to 50. So it was 30, I updated it. So let's go ahead and suspend it. Watch this window down here. I'm going to move it so you can actually see it. And we'll go ahead and suspend. Watch what happens to the state when I do that. Notice how all those states go to nil. So it's not actually available for running. I've suspended this process. This is kind of emulating what might happen if a process were waiting on I/O. It would be suspended until the I/O is ready. Now let's go ahead and resume it. So now, whatever was suspending it is not suspending it. So now it's running again. And finally, I can terminate it. I can tell a process to terminate, and now it's gone. It's done. It's not resumable at this point. It's just done. Now, take a look at class process. Let's go ahead and find that. So we'll browse and find class process. And notice here, since it's not completely amenable as to which one it is, it's going to give me a list. I'm going to pick process because that's what I wanted. And here, if I make this a little bigger, we can go in and explore this. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with processes. You can tell them that you want to copy their stack, you want to debug them, you want to find their environment, you want to actually ask if it's suspended, ask if it's the active process, so any process can tell you whether it's active or not, and a whole bunch of things you can go ahead and take a look at and find out what they're useful for. So the Smalltalk process model, again, useful to know across various Smalltalks, certainly Squeak, Pharo, and QS, and VisualWorks and Object Studio, and quite likely the others. I'm just, again, less familiar with those. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with whatever Smalltalk you're using.